RWBY Volume 2, Episode 10, Mountain Glen. I cannot wait for next week's episode because Oobleck unlinked or uncoupled his thermos and they're going to go save Ruby and it's going to be great. But this week was definitely really good too. It kind of took me back to Volume 1 where pretty much every episode was Part 1 and Part 2. So every story was technically connected, although every single episode was just like in this season. Everything may have just continued on from the last moment, but every episode had its own story. But this really felt like it could have just been part two of last week's story. So that I kind of enjoyed that because it does carry on right from the end of last week's episode where the girls are sleeping. It doesn't start there, but the main story of the episode does continue on from that point in the story, and we actually get the full explanation of Yang, Weiss, and Blake and what they feel about themselves and what they think about the answers that they gave now that they've had time to really think about what it means to be a huntress and why they did it. And that was a really great scene. And, even Oobleck was happy at the results that they gave. He was listening and he knew they now truly understand that to be in this job, even though you can have these sort of basic, admirations or, basic wants out of this job, you can admire it as much or as little as you want to, excuse me, and you can want as much or little as you want to out of it. You do have to know that in the end, it's a job meant for people to save other people and protect the world. So that was a really good point in this episode. I really, really enjoyed that. It was great to see all the girls give their different reasons. And I really, more than anything, I think I loved what Weiss said because she told her story about how she feels like she has to uphold the Schnee name, but she feels that she has to do that not because she's a Schnee and it's just the family thing. It's because she knows that although things have been different in the past, her father has changed things for the Schnee company in ways that, you know, are not exactly the best. They don't really do things on the up and up. And Weiss wants to change that because, as she put it, her father didn't start the company, but she definitely won't let him be the one to end it. So, or I guess, start the name and end the name. But I really love that scene and the stuff Blake said about how she would always run and even her semblance is just to leave a shadow that will take the hit while she runs was really good. And also that was nice because I picked up on the fact that she said she was born with the semblance, so that's one of the questions I've always had. Are you born with your semblance? Do you unlock your semblance? Which I guess would kind of mean that you are born with it, but are you born with it? Can you basically create it, or how does that work? So you are born with those powers, and I guess you do sort of unlock them over time as you mature. You just find that ability. So that was something just in the dialogue that I picked up that I thought was really nice, that we kind of got an official answer on that through the dialogue. So that was really cool. And the stuff that Yang said, where it's like she wanted to be a thrill seeker, being a huntress really just coincided with her wanting to live a life where she didn't know what tomorrow would bring. And Ruby wasn't like that. She just wanted to be the hero. She just wanted to do the job. And it's cool to her to be the hero and stuff, but it's not really so that other people call her a hero. It's that she knows she's a hero and she knows that she's helping people survive, really. So I really love that scene. I also really love the very first scene of this episode because it was cool for one just to see two characters that we don't get too much screen time of. We got a lot more Glinda this season so far, which I've really enjoyed. We've also gotten Ironside or James, whichever you prefer. We've gotten quite a bit of him. We've had some moments with him actually since he's been introduced this season. But this episode or this little clip we got in the beginning was really, really great, and it was great because it brought up a really big question for me, and that is what's being kept in the dark, because they talk about how, well, James at least, he mentions that he feels like Ozpin is keeping him in the dark, and Glinda says, you know that we are definitely not in the dark, and he says, well, that makes me feel worse, and that kind of freaks me out. Like, are they actually evil or something? Like, what's going on? And it worries me as to what's going to happen in the series. I doubt that anything super dramatic would happen, like, we're only in volume 2. They aren't just gonna like be traitors and then poof, they kill Ozpin. That would be just insane, and I don't think that would possibly happen, maybe ever, but it definitely wouldn't happen anytime soon, even if it did. But what secrets are they keeping? Like he says, it makes them feel worse. I highly doubt it's that they're together because I'm pretty sure Glenda and Ozpin aren't together, so it's not like a weird love triangle type thing going on. So, that's not the case. And them being together in general, even if Ozpin isn't in a relationship with Glenda, why would that need to be a secret? It seemed like they'd been in a relationship before based on the way they act. It seemed like, it didn't seem like they'd been in a relationship. It seems like Ironside has always liked Glenda, but she's never been in a relationship with him. She's never liked him enough to be with him because he's always had that side of him where it's like he, like she mentioned, like he doesn't show trust, and at the same time, including not showing that trust, he's always on the side of strength and brutality and force. So I think that's the relationship I've always gotten out of those two characters. And in this, they have something that they're hiding. It could be minor, and it could just be there to really mess with our heads. But why does he feel worse that he is hiding something than the possibility that Ozpin's hiding something from him and Glenda? So that scene I'm very curious about, but I really enjoyed it, and like I said, not just for the dialogue, but we did get to see two characters we don't typically see. The other part, of course, was the ending, and in between these moments, we had our nice stuff with Zwei, and just seeing him. That dog is durable. Like when RWBY was about to fall through the ground, and she just threw him. He didn't land on his feet. He landed on his back and then just bounced, and he landed on his feet. So I thought that was funny. I was like, this dog is really durable. But RWBY finding the people at the end of this episode, or I guess sort of finding them, and then they found her almost immediately after when she fell through the ground. That is what I was really hoping for. I figured it had to happen because we only have 2 more episodes. That's what's really getting me, is like it seems like we don't have nearly enough time for the story to develop. Like half an hour, unless they skip, a lot of little insignificant moments. I feel like it's not enough. So I'm very curious about how the season's really going to end, or if we're getting more episodes. Like if you guys know that we're getting more than just 12, please put that in the comments, because this season, everyone, well, I can't speak for all of you guys, but I think most people thought it's going to be the huge, battle, because that's in the opening. It's everyone coming in. We haven't even gotten some of the groups that we thought we were going to get. We barely saw Team Coffee. We still haven't seen Sun's team, which I still don't know the official pronunciation, but it's 3 S's and then it's N, so like Team Sin, I guess. But we haven't even really seen those groups, and like we really haven't seen Sun's team. We've seen Sun and Neptune and Sage, and I can't remember, Sage and Saturn were in one episode, but you see them in like a big aerial view, and that's it. So we haven't even really been introduced to a lot of the characters we thought we would see in this season. So I don't know what's going to happen in these next 2 episodes. Unless, like I said, they skip a lot of stuff, or they take some weeks off and we get 2 24-minute episodes or something, like, or 15 minutes, so it really is like 30 full minutes of content in these next 2. I don't know where the season's really going to end and what we're going to be left off with for Volume 3, because it seems like a lot of the stuff that was sort of hinted based on the opening that we got with, the big war is coming, and that's been like the whole thing. The finale kind of introduced the big war more than any of the other episodes in Season 1. It really introduced the big war, and not to mention the fact that I didn't even think of this. The tournament we haven't seen either, which was also something that I thought was definitely going to be in this season. I thought this was going to be, the tournament was going to be happening, which is, while the schools were together, and then the big war would end up happening at the same time, which still will technically be the case even if it is in Volume 3, but the opening kind of suggested that this was going to be the season with the battle, and that's not what's happening. Like, the stuff that they have is more like it should have been in the Season 3 opening, unless, like I said, they just like flip the script and it's like, surprise, here, like 8 more episodes, and that would be amazing. I'd love that. That would blow my mind. But I don't know what they're gonna do. It's still gonna be great. It's just that I was expecting something different from the season, and it's really changed from what my expectations were from the initial release of this season's opening. And that's where I was like, oh, okay, we see these teams, we see this team, we see this villain fighting this hero or something, especially like the end of the opening where it's the girls kind of fighting their evil counterparts. we haven't really seen that. We haven't seen Emerald fight yet. I can't wait to see her fight too. But I'm excited to see what they do in these next two episodes. I'm almost 100% sure either next week or the week before the finale, we're gonna get World of Remnant episode 3. So I know we're gonna have at least 3 more weeks of RWBY and not just the next two episodes. But I enjoyed this one. I can't wait to see what happens. Another big thing that happened was the bomb that they showed in this episode. They showed like another one of the giant mechs, which we had seen before and we knew they had more. But they had the two characters in the train car and they had like a giant bomb. Well, I can't say giant, but it was big enough for two people to hold, so that's pretty big. But they had this giant bomb. Who knows where that's going to be planted, but they wouldn't show it just like, and then it's never going to be used. So that bomb is going to be used for something somewhere inside the kingdom. So that's going to be dangerous. Who knows if the girls will even run into that. It could end up being taken on by a whole different team, which would actually be pretty amazing if that happened. But love the episode, of course. Comment below, let me know what you guys thought about this one, your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and what do you guys want to see in next week's episode. We have 2 more going. At the end of this one, Oobleck, he knew the stakes were high, so he actually undid his coffee mug, which blew my mind that was even his thing. Like, I guess he's an intellectual type, so it kind of does make sense when you think about it, because he's not just in fight mode all the time. He's like, he's almost like, when you think about it, he's a history/science teacher. So, like one version being the coffee mug, and then he undoes it. And I don't know, like based on the way it was, it's like, he has a latch on the other side. So it extended out and it has like a long thing. I don't know if it's going to be like just a staff, but the way it looked, it almost seemed like it could actually be a gun as well. And he kind of holds it, and it could end up being like some crazy flamethrower or something, I don't know. But it seems like it'll be a long sort of gun-based weapon, a lot like Ruby's scythe, where it's just super long, but, horizontal-wise, it's just a gun, and you just hold it in an interesting way. But I'm excited to see that, and I think that's what I really want to see. That's what I've been waiting for. As soon as I saw him, that's what made me the most excited, because I want to see Ozpin fight, but I want to see what Oobleck can do, because he's the silly teacher that we have, even more than the old guy who had, like, whose weapon actually has been shown a lot, and it's the sort of boomstick battle axe type weapon. So, we've seen Glinda fight, we haven't seen Ozpin fight, we've seen the older guy fight, and I guess technically we haven't seen James fight. And God, I'm so glad I just remembered that, because he mentioned early on when Glinda went to see him, she said, are you okay? And he said, yeah, my arm was bothering me. I realized this, I think, 2 weeks ago, and I completely forgot to mention it before, but he has one fake arm. Like, one of his arms is fake, because he has one hand that's free and his other hand has a white glove on it. And I never noticed that, because I thought he just had like white gloves on both hands. I thought his hands were just really white, honestly. It was either his hands are both really white or he just has gloves on both. And then one time I realized, like, because I would never really notice, like, you could clearly see his hands, but I would never notice, like, the color change from his arm to his hand. And then one episode I did, and I was like, well, I never noticed that before. And I realized in, like, the next scene, and I think it was the Dance Dance Infiltration episode, when he actually asked Glinda to dance, when he put his hand out to, or, like, he lifted her hand up or put his hand out for her to take it, I actually paid attention, and I noticed that one arm has a glove, the other one doesn't. So I think he has, like, a robot arm, so that's pretty cool. I can't wait to see him use that somehow, but he has like a robot arm. That's my guess. I would like almost bet my life on it that the fake arm is just like a robot arm, and that it's fake. It's not just he's got something wrong. And if he does, then is his secret, and this just popped into my head, is his secret that he is combined dust inside of his body? Like, I would think that someone in his position wouldn't do it, because he's one of the headmasters and he seems like he's one of the good guys. But is that the secret that he's possibly holding? I doubt it, but that just popped into my head. So, if that's in your head now, please let me know what you guys think about that as being a possibility based on the opening of this episode. But please let me know what you guys want to see in next week's episode, or the next episode, because I don't know if it's going to be next week or in 2 weeks if we get World of Remnant next week. But of course, comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.